listening to the Hometown Losers, the St. Louis Sports Podcast, with Josh, Adam, and OJ.
Hi, everybody. Welcome back here to the Hometown Losers Podcast. This is session number 51, joined as always by my co-host and Adam and OJ. Gentlemen, how are we doing today?
I'm doing great. Glad to be back. How's it going for you, OJ?
I'm also doing great. Looking forward to the weekend.
That's me too. Looking forward to that. We've had some crazy weather, so I'm looking forward to some nice weather and hopefully more and more rain, and looking forward to the freaking weekend.
Mm-hmm.
I'm telling you,
sure.
So Adam, as we talked yesterday a few times about my softball being on Wednesdays, like one of my softball nights on Wednesday nights, and it just seems to rain everywhere. Why can't we be on Thursday? Today was a beautiful day. I mean, the field would have been wet, but it was a beautiful day. Like,
beautiful day.
It's crazy. Yeah. But, you know.
Yeah. And unfortunately, looking forward to next week, it looks like more rain Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday as well. So yet another rain out.
Our team group chat is already like, all right, cool. We'll see you guys in like 2 weeks. Like at this point, like we might as well just cancel the freaking session. I mean, legitimately, we played 3 double headers because it's a double header league. So we played 6 games. So, but there's other teams that have only played 2 because we played the early games and then it happened to rain on one of those weeks. So, but we've also had, I think now 4 rainouts, which is
Speaking of rainouts,
I don't even know how we're going to get this in.
Cardinals were also rained out yesterday as well.
It's funny too because Adam, to your point, they got the Cardinals got canceled before our softball did, and I'm like,
right.
I mean, I get it. Downtown St. Louis and St. Peter's, they're completely different, but not really.
Right.
Anyways,
but it is canceled until August. So hopefully by August we're doing a little bit better. Let's hope.
Yeah.
Because things are not looking too good for us right now.
No. And speaking of the Cardinals, we'll go ahead and jump into that here. So, quick update: they are now 15-21. So since the last session, they are 1-4. They have dropped to last in the Central. They're in 5th, which is 1 position worse than last week. Excuse me. They're now 6 games behind Milwaukee, which is a half game more than last week. They're 13th in the NL, which is 2 positions worse than last week. We are now 10 games behind Philly, who's just been on a freaking heater. And that's 3 games more than last week when we were 7 games behind for control of the NL. We are now 25th in MLB, gents. So,
awesome.
3 positions worse than last session, and again, 10 games behind Philly for the league in the MLB. I mean, it's not looking good. It looks very similar at this point to last year. Adam, I'm going to start with you here. I mean, do you believe that this is kind of the path, or not the path, but do you believe this is going to be kind of
of our year?
Yeah, exactly. Do you feel this is where the team's heading? Yeah.
It doesn't seem like we're making any ground anytime soon, and it just seems like bad news piling on top of bad news. I'm hopeful that things improve. I know that baseball, there's a lot of things that can change through the year. I know it's still early in the season, but it's unfortunately the same start that I was sadly expecting coming into this year, that we were going to be near the last in the pack, so to speak. So I was hoping we would be a little bit better, maybe mid, but it's not looking too good at all. And I'm not all that hopeful. Maybe OJ is. He's more of the optimist in the crowd. So
OJ, what's your take so far? Do you feel that they obviously, I mean, we know it's still early, right? But this is the direction of the team, and it's just progressively getting worse. Obviously, hopefully they'll be better than 1-4 every week. But OJ, what's your thought process here going forward?
Well, I mean, it's pretty tough to think that anything's good going to happen at all at this point. Because, I mean, it depends if you want to look at this as a continuation of 2023 or not, which you kind of can, even though they're losing for different reasons. Like the thing that everyone thought would suck has generally been actually pretty good this year. And the thing everyone thought would be good has just been unconscionably bad. But depending on how you want to look at it, you still could argue that maybe the overall attitude of the team is a carryover from 2020. The field kind of is the same. Like, anytime they get down by like 3 runs, it's like they look like they think the game's over. You know what I mean? Like, just
they're giving up.
Inning of just out, like 8 pitch innings with just 3 ground out. You know what I mean? Like, they're like, turning my brain off and just phoning it in till
I'm already on the golf course, right?
Yeah, they're going through the motions.
It's really what it looks like to me when I see the way their body language after they get down. It's like they just give up. Like, this is one of the teams that does the worst at coming back that I've seen in a long time. This iteration of the Cardinals.
No fight. Yeah, exactly. There's no fight in this team, and we've seen this 2006, 2011, 2013, where the teams might not necessarily been like they had their stretches of real bad baseball, but they always kept a consistent fight every single pitch, every single inning. I mean, how easy would it have been for David Freese, going up in 2011 to just take a strike out there and just be like, well, we're already getting down. It's game 6. You know what I mean? Like, the chances of us doing anything, because we're down by 2 runs at this point in time. I mean, it's easy to phone in, but the Cardinal way has always been to every single pitch, try to fight. I'm just not seeing it from this team. To your point, OJ, it's been lackluster. I mean, it feels like when I was with my old softball team. Sorry, guys, if you are listening, if anybody's listening from that. But we're to get boat race, but going into the bottom of the first inning and we're down like 20 something runs. It's like, okay, cool, dude. So this is already lost. Why am I even here? Yeah, like
just going through the motions at that point.
Yeah, exactly. Adam, as I've talked to you, there was one time we were down 43-0 going in the bottom of the first. And I'm like, can we just call this? Like,
that's please, like, okay, this game is over.
Yeah, I'm just like this is ridiculous because I'm like, I don't even want to see the second inning. I'm like, I just want to walk out. Like, these guys got their batting practice. Okay, great. Give us all of our outs in the first inning, and we'll see if we can even get to 43 runs, because I know we can't. You know what I mean? So, it's things are piling on. Obviously, injuries have been a bigger concern. That's actually part of the next thing that I definitely want to bring up is the Contreras injury. First and foremost, OJ, I'm going to start with you. Did you see the injury?
No, unfortunately, because I was busy. So I heard it on the radio.
Yeah.
I was driving.
Okay, I got you.
Home,
I could actually see it.
Announcers did a good job of paying. They made it sound pretty bad. I actually was like, "Oh, great, he fractured his fucking forearm or something," and that's what it was.
Yeah.
So I'm like, "Oh, he's out 6 weeks, 6 to 8 weeks." Like, ugh. But at least it is. On one hand, once it's healed, it'll be like good to go. It's not like a soft tissue thing that just lingers forever. So I guess that's a bright side.
Yeah. And they did say it was a relatively clean break. So all they have to do is set it back in. The biggest thing about that, I think, is not even the physical aspect of this, of healing that forearm, but the mental stuff. I mean, you still got to be doing the exact same thing, you've been doing. And you might be a little bit more gun shy with that. And everyone kept saying, too, that it was on the backswing. It definitely was not on the backswing.
No, not that I've seen anyway, because it was not.
I actually seen it, and it was not. I actually seen
so
it. And I actually saw an in-depth analysis of it as well, and you can see it very well.
But
so during the broadcast of the game, they said on the backswing. He got hit by the backswing. That's what ESPN was reporting and all that stuff as well. And I was like, really? I'm like, how did he break his forearm on the backswing? I mean, like, don't get me wrong, these guys are powerful as shit. But also to get to his forearm on the backswing, did he like sit there like do a full like disco, like, I mean, like, I don't understand that. Is he swinging a golf club?
And he's already been hit by a backswing this year. Maybe that's
twice.
I don't know. Yeah, like twice. So maybe that's why you're seeing stuff about it. I don't know. Because and
it happens so quick too that again, like the broadcasters are going to be they can watch it in slow mo and then be able to tell. But their first initial reaction is, oh, he got hit. It has to be on the backswing, because you just don't see it where a catcher gets hit by a batter. And I love it how too. By the way, so after the dude so Martinez breaks Contreras' forearm, and it's catcher interference, so he gets to go to first. And I'm sitting there going, he swung so goddamn late that like he had to catch the ball. I don't understand. Whatever. Yeah, that's just.
I don't. Well, if the ball was in his glove and then the guy swings, you kind of got to figure that is on the batter. But I don't think it was quite bad, huh?
No, it wasn't that bad. It wasn't like a Bugs Bunny thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it was still pretty.
Interference on a backswing. That's literally not the rules. So that's how you know it wasn't on the backswing. But Yeah, that's a big blow because they can't score runs, and he was one of their most prolific threats, or the most prolific, the only real threat they had.
Yeah,
he was the only.
It's just like
OPS over 800 on the team.
Well, it just seemed like Contreras was hitting home runs, and you're like, oh, cool. So Contreras here, he comes in, all of a sudden, oh, now he's gone. Great.
Yeah.
What do we do now?
Sonny Gray got lit up tonight, but I think that Milwaukee maybe knew something on him because Rhys Hoskins swung with authority. Like in the 5th inning, Gray gives up the 6 run. He talks, then him and Paez talk. Paez is catching tonight. And then all of a sudden he comes back out and gets the first guy out. Then Rhys Hoskins comes up and he swings like with authority at a pitch that almost hits him in the head. So like he thought he knew what pitch was coming. So they had something on him somehow, one way or another. Either they were somehow got signs or they had a tip on him, something like that. And he just got now they lose because that's what it looks like. It looked like Rhys Hoskins was 100% certain the slider was coming and it was actually a fastball near his head. So yeah, he had a scary moment there, but he fell down afterwards, and then Gray got him with the high heater this time in the zone for strike 3. But yeah, that kind of sucks because you kind of needed to win this game, but it's 6, so it's probably not going to happen.
And it was pretty funny too coming into this game because now if people use the ESPN app, they have ESPN bets all over their thing. So like you can see the lines for the betting and stuff like that, which is really annoying because you can't just see like all the games like, real quick and like quick glance. Now you're having to like scroll down like a bunch because you have to get through all this stuff. But for the Cardinals, the over for us in runs scored tonight was 2. And the under was highly voted. I'm just like, or like highly bet on. It's crazy. But
it's pretty trash. So, I mean, they're playing Paez, who was in Double-A last year. They are starting him at catcher tonight for some reason. I don't know why you couldn't start Herrera. We're starting to have Paez. Paez is much better at the plate. Like you can almost think of him as like, he's pretty much a finished product behind the plate. He's a great catcher defensively. I don't know that he's ready to hit yet, but that's what they kind of ran out with a weak lineup tonight, almost like they were saying like, well, we got Sonny Gray going, so we'll try and start our guys now and win it anyway, and then we can play our best players the last 2 games. But maybe that was the best thing to do anyway because he still gave up 6 runs. So even with your best guys out there, I mean, they still probably wouldn't have put up even 6. So. But
I mean, is what it is.
I'm starting to like climb more aboard the get rid of Marmol bandwagon because I really do think him and his staff are suppressing the talents of the players. Like, if you look at like Fangraphs last year and this year projected them much better than our entire team. So when your entire team is underperforming, it has to be coaching, right? Like there's something wrong. Like so,
and it's been consistent too. So it's 2 consecutive years, and that it's not that far removed.
That's the difference for me is it's gone on long enough and it's carried over into the new season. And now I'm starting to think that to me it does a better job to like confirm that maybe the coaching staff is the problem. So like I'm definitely getting to where I want to see a coaching change. Because something's got to change. Because not all these players are this fucking bad. The Cardinals didn't turn into the Oakland A's overnight. All these guys were like highly talented prospects. They've had success, a lot of them in the major leagues before. They're fairly known quantities. And all of a sudden they can't hit their way out of a paper bat. Like, I don't know. It doesn't make sense to me.
And I feel like not even last year, but the year before that, when we had Albert back for the 1 year, Adam, you and I went to a lot of games. And I really believe that, like, we even talked at the time about some of the choices that Marmol was making on those games that we were going to. You know what I mean? So I really believe even when the Cardinals were doing well, we were kind of like, okay, that's a risk, especially when it comes to especially like the pitching. That was the biggest thing, getting to the setup and then getting to Helsley and stuff like that. Adam, I mean, what are your thoughts?
Yeah.
Even going back 2 years ago, Adam, what's your thoughts here?
Well, I'd like to actually get back to the Wilson Contreras thing before.
Oh yeah, my bad. Yeah, my fault.
Yeah, so I wanted to actually talk about this real quick before we switched off this topic, because obviously this is a real big blow for us. Since, like OJ was saying, that he is one of our top hitters this season, so it is significant for us. And with that broken forearm, it does look like he's going to be out for at least 6 weeks, which is really pretty tough for us. And other players are just going to need to step up during this time. This really just shows how rough the catcher position can really be, and why it's so important to keep, talking about this, because really this was a big topic of discussion even during the off season, because obviously the catchers are being judged on their framing skills and pushing them closer, of course, to the hitters. I was actually just watching some analysis where it was comparing last year to this year, where Contreras was behind the plate. It was significant. It was like night and day. It was like a good couple of feet almost, it felt like, where he was literally almost up on the guy's ass in the batter. He was all up in that box, seriously. And the thing is that the number of catcher interferences keep going up. This is serious. The last season that I saw, I was looking at the statistics overall, with the most happened in 1974. We're getting up to that number again. And so I think Major League Baseball really needs to take notice of that. And I have noticed that there are some teams actually trying to kind of adapt by changing their catcher's positioning. Like, for example, I was looking to see, like, with the Rangers, their manager had mentioned that he's having his catchers back off a bit because of those injuries, because he's seeing that more and more. So I think this injury just highlights that the league needs to do something about it, whether it's some rule changes or some protective measures or something, because this is becoming a real problem. So I just wanted to highlight that this is becoming a regular thing, and I understand the reason for it because of the whole framing situation and the skills behind it, but it's becoming increasingly dangerous. And of course, because of this, the Cardinals are not going to lose Contreras for a good month and a half into the summer, which is going to be very detrimental for us.
Absolutely.
I don't know if you want to talk about that anymore, but we can go then to the Marvel topic.
No, and Adam, you actually bring up a really good point when it comes to this too, because unfortunately, especially in Major League Baseball, they don't make major rule changes especially to safety, unless a star gets injured.
Right.
Buster Posey. Remember when he got trucked and all of a sudden he was out for a while and the Giants lost Buster Posey? All of a sudden, now, catchers cannot block the plate anymore. They have to give, the runners the advantage to be able to at least see the plate. So that way they take away the collision at the plate, because they don't want the Buster Posey, injuries that continue to happen. But that year, specifically with the Buster Posey got injured, and I think that was 2013, if I remember correctly, or might have been earlier than that. It doesn't matter. But in that year, I remember ESPN just talking about it. It was because it was on Around the Horn. And one of the guys was like, guys, we want to make this rule change now because of Buster Posey. 5 catchers have been injured for multiple months because of this collision. But because Buster Posey is a big, star, it brings a lot of attention to it. Contreras is not that big of a star. And so, it's not going to bring that issue to it. And I think, honestly, robo umps would fix this, because then you don't have to worry about framing. It is where the pitch is at.
It is where the pitch is.
Exactly. Right. And you have
though too, because part of it now is there's what they're doing in AAA, I believe, is more of a challenge system. So you still have the ump calling balls and strikes for the most part. You can challenge. I don't know exactly the rules around it, but in that kind of case, there could still be an advantage to trying to frame something. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but my whole thing about it is, if you don't have to frame it, then you can sit safely behind the plate and you don't have to be that far up. You know what I mean? The only disadvantage you would have is, if you're a few feet back, that's few feet more that you're having to throw the ball to second base to try to catch someone stealing,
potentially,
so on and so forth. So it's not like, okay, this is going to fix everything, but there definitely needs to be some sort of solution.
There needs to be something, yes.
Well, yeah.
And
the easiest one is just Miles Michaelis said it, just paint a line. Just put a line on the ground. You can't line up past this. Boom, there you go. It levels the playing field, keeps everybody safe. Easy peasy.
Yeah.
Yeah, but they kind of already have that. Like, it's not like an actual line in the sand, but I mean, I don't remember. Adam, was it
like it's like a ball or something if the catcher sets up over the line or something, and the ump would have to call it. So, you could make it so the home plate umpire or the umpires down on the bases could maybe call it too. But that's basically what you do. Is this is the catcher area, stay there or there will be consequences.
And one of the consequences is a broken forearm, which I'm sure that he's probably going to lay off. I don't know if it was Contreras himself that put himself in that position, or if he was coached to put himself in that position. But obviously, he needs to be coached to step back a little bit, for sure. A lot like what the Rangers are doing, and that's what I was reading about them. So Bruce Bochy, for example. He was telling his guys, you have to back off a bit, because if not, you're going to wind up getting broken arms and shit. You're going to get hit. So it's not worth it. So
the Indians, on top of that, they actually have guys whose job it is to watch the catcher from the dugout and make sure he's not getting too close, because they're saying that it can be easy for the catcher to lose track of where he's at between pitches, kind of, and like
I can see that.
Kind of scooting, incrementally,
naturally, little bit by little bit. You kind of get closer. You kind of push forward. Yeah, I can see that.
So they literally have guys who are there that they yell at the catchers to back off when they know.
Get back.
It's a problem that teams have known about because they've been doing this for years, and other teams have solved it. But I don't know if we have the same, if we didn't think that far ahead, or if we just.
Well, Contreras last year was doing it just fine. It's not like this was a natural instinct that he just thought, or that he started instituting.
He's been coached to do this.
He's been coached, I believe, to do it this way.
Style.
He has. He changed his style, because last year it was a significant change compared to what it is now. It's not like he bumped himself up like 3-4 inches. He was like not even in the frame whenever they were doing a side view, like a comparison. And they were lining up, the dugout in the background to the dugout in the background of the next, basically of the same shot whenever it was happening with Martinez. So, it was like clear day. Players can be.
That's another thing that makes me doubt the coaching staff, because it's just another thing where a good coaching staff thinks of that ahead of time and devises a solution ahead of time. Like what the Indians are doing, right? Our guys didn't think that far ahead.
Same, by the way.
Yeah, same way as with the pitch clock. Remember last year they're like, and it sucks because of the pitch clock. We can't really change pitches. It's like, yes, you can. It's easy. Yeah. The fucking catcher sends the signal. If the pitcher doesn't like it, he shakes it off and sends the pitch that he's going to throw back to the catcher. Boom. Right. There you go. Problem solved. Practice that way a little bit, and you can make sure your pitcher's throwing something he believes in, and you get, what I mean? Like, and if you really,
because ultimately the catcher doesn't call the balls and strikes, or it doesn't call not the balls and strikes, the pitches, I meant to say.
Yeah.
He's not going to call the pitches. I mean,
ultimately they're supposed to, but it's up to the pitcher.
Ultimately, it's up to the pitcher. If he feels like my gut instinct is here, he can call whatever he wants, but the pitcher ultimately gets to decide what that decision is going to be.
Yeah, the pitcher is ultimately the one that has to throw it. That's why it pisses me.
Because that's the reason why before he could shake it off and be like, he would he would basically tell the catcher, he's shaking that pitch off. No, we're not doing that. We're not doing that.
That's why
in 8th grade when I was pitching, that I kept getting called for a curveball in a specific game, and I just didn't have feel for it. It was a cold day, like a weirdly cold day in August, and I couldn't even feel the ball really. So I could pitch a strike because, it's just a two-seam fastball and stuff. And my circle change was a little bit there, but I couldn't get my curveball at all. And I had no feel for it. He kept calling a curveball, and I just kept shaking him off. And he visited him out 3 times. And he's just like, dude, like, this is what we're going to do because the curveball at this level, I'm like, I can't feel it. So, like, what do you want me to do? Like, I'm not going to throw a pitch that is going to be a Rick Ankiel going over the backstop or, like, into the dirt. Like, I will throw a fastball below whatever, but I'm not going to continue to
let me throw a strike here, please.
Yeah, exactly. Let me throw a strike and let our defense do the shit because I don't have the feel for it. So,
right.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
So ultimately, it is on the pitcher.
Yeah. And so that's why, like, Jack Flaherty's like, oh, we're calling pitches that don't make sense or whatever. It's like, you don't have to throw it. Pitchers have shaken catchers off since the beginning of the game. It's not like you have to just throw whatever he puts down. Like, there's onus on you to change that if it really doesn't make sense. So
that's like going to a quarterback and saying, okay, you have one route. You got 4 receivers that are going to run routes, but you have to throw it to this one guy. Really?
Right.
How often does that happen except for A.J. McCarron and the Battlehawks? For God's sake, would you please stop throwing fucking smoke routes? Anyways. But you see my point, though. You know what I mean? It's just like you have the option. You are still it's still you in your duties. I don't get it, but
yeah.
And that also could come down to a philosophy with Marmol too. Saying, hey, you're gonna trust in the catchers. Listen to the catchers and throw what the catcher's telling you to throw. But I mean,
remember a big part of their pitching philosophy, well, at least under Maddox, was that they wanted to have conviction in what they're throwing. So that means, like, above all else, you should make sure the pitcher's throwing a pitch he's okay with throwing in that spot. So that's why I would default it to catcher sends the sign, pitcher sends it back. And there's probably even better systems than that. But, like, that's what I, came up with in, like, 2 seconds of thinking about it. But apparently they were shocked by it. You know what I mean? Yeah. That's another mark against them. Like, I've been making marks against them. And, I think one of Ollie's biggest weaknesses is pulling his pitchers out too late. Like, he waits to get somebody warming up until his pitchers give up the. It's like this guy's going 6 unless he gives up the lead, and then we'll start a guy warming up. So he'll have the bases loaded with no outs by the time the reliever comes in. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Surprise, surprise! You give up 2 runs on a bloop single, and now you lost. And after the game, you're talking about, oh man, that. It didn't give up any hard contact, but it just fell where no, dude, it didn't have to be that way. That's what we're not proactive.
Or pulling people out too early. Especially the relievers, and like if they're dominating, it's always something with him, and his decisions are just not good.
No,
it's a hard line to walk, right? Because you don't want to be
100%, yeah.
That's your bullpen, but there's definitely times like I just remember when I was younger. You'd be watching the game, and our pitcher would be just cruising, and then it'd be like the 7th inning, 8th inning, or whatever. He'd give up just a single, and LaRusso would pull him.
LaRusso would pull him.
Oh my God, all the time, drive me nuts. I'm like, why?
Exactly. He wanted to pull
chill out
before the fire started, not after. Yeah. I think that was a strategy that served him well, and we're way too reactive. We need to start implementing that approach.
Yeah. That's the problem.
I will tell you though,
pulls them out too early. He always pulls them out too early, and then always leaves the ones that are hanging out to dry out there way too late. Yeah. It's like, it's never a happy balance between the two. It's like, okay, this dude is literally struggling. He has been struggling now for 2 innings. Why is he still pitching? Like, what the hell's going on, Ollie?
Yeah.
Get somebody warming up.
It definitely feels.
Well, we gave up 8 runs in an inning. I guess we'll start warming up somebody now. I'm like, what? You think? Yeah.
Yeah. Like, it definitely feels like he's following a very, like, if else kind of script. Like,
I guess.
I mean, like,
his decision making is very odd.
Well, I mean, like, it's not flexible enough, I don't think. Like, it seems like
that's what I was just gonna say. It's not
flexible.
Following
script or
it's
whatever.
Like, if we're ahead, our starter
rigid
in 6 unless he gives up the lead again. You know what I mean? Like, that's terrible. You can't pitch that or you can't manage that.
You need to be able to. It's like his baseball IQ is not where it needs to be.
Yeah.
It's like he's literally sitting there like reading how to manage a baseball team for dummies. Like, you know what I mean? That's what it feels like.
Maybe he's going to
so
like
amateur of this
ChatGPT and like like putting it all into AI or whatever and be like, what do I do now?
Yeah, exactly.
You just like, oh man, it's like use your gut instinct. You should have enough baseball IQ to be able to know okay, this is what we need to do. Like, use your instinct.
And I would expect him to be able to do because Dave Duncan is sitting there doing his thing, like, in Tony La Russa too. They watch the pitchers and you can kind of start to see.
Yes, you see it. That's exactly right. You look for those signs.
Exactly. I feel like we don't have people in our dugout that are doing
not
for whatever
mature
reason.
enough. And
I don't
they
know
understand.
they're not capable of it, but it feels like they're not, or maybe it's against our organizational philosophy altogether to use your brain at all and just do whatever.
Yeah, exactly. Go after statistics. Yeah.
Like, yeah, I mean, they should
don't go off of intuition and go off your baseball IQ. Base it off of what the math tells us, because baseball.
We're moneyballing pitchers.
Well, yeah,
it's like it's more than just putting it into an equation and telling us what the computer tells us to do.
Yeah, you should be able to tell that your pitchers are starting to tire, and then start getting somebody up then, even if they're not in trouble.
If that's the case, then we don't even need a manager. We'll just pull it onto a computer and be like, all right, Alexa, tell us, when do we pull our pitcher? What's the point?
That's almost what it feels like. It's crazy.
What the hell?
But maybe I'm not being fair. I don't know. Maybe they're missing some sort of resources that all the other managers get too. I don't know. I mean, maybe the Cardinals cut back a bunch because I was surprised last off season when Katie Wu mentioned in one of her articles that we have like the smallest MLB coaching staff in the league. Like, what? Like, that doesn't cost anything.
We can't afford to pay them.
So we have the support staff to be successful. Like, this is starting to sound like the Colorado Rockies.
Scary.
Like, it's very scary. And now we see the results again this year. Yeah. It's like,
we can't hire coaches and to coach our team. That's like, what? like you said, that should be the cheapest part of our salary here. It's not like
managers or like high fucking position. It's like position coaches and shit. You know what I mean? Like,
it's like this should be pretty basic stuff. The stuff that you just take for granted. That's just part of your overall payroll. Like, it's not like, we got to have a big budget for that.
It just makes me think the DeWitts decided to cut all that back because it's something the fans don't see, and they're like, well, I can save money that way, and being
a little too tight. I think, with money now, and obviously the whole Bally's thing, I guess maybe got them shook up. I don't know, but
no one saw the problems before because they were winning. But as soon as they start losing and people start looking for why, all of a sudden see the fucking smoking gun. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, they're gonna unfortunately feel that wrath though with. Fan attendance is dwindling.
It is going down. Right.
And they're going to have to pay for that, unfortunately.
Yeah, Battlehawks are almost outperforming them in tickets.
The fact that a spring football league literally showed them in attendance, even in paid attendance.
Cardinals.
To the Cardinals.
Baseball heaven.
Yeah, and I'm like, really, bro? Really?
Yeah.
A spring football game that nowhere else can like have more than like 10,000 people show up at? Holy shit. So, yeah. We're supposed to be baseball heaven, What happened to those days?
Well, the thing is that we can tell what we're looking at better than other fan bases. That's the problem.
Right. I'm just saying, we were known as baseball heaven for the longest time, and now I feel like the rust is on the heavens gates right now. You know what I mean?
I've never felt this mad watching the Cardinals. And I mean, I was watching them in the 90s. I mean, I was small.
They were really crappy then. I remember, except for 96. But early 90s were very rough. Well, hell, most of the 90s were very rough being a Cardinals fan generally.
90s kind of sucked. Like
96 and 98, like late 90s, things were decent.
Well,
they were tolerable because we had. Right, we did that in 96, and then obviously we had McGuire and all that, and then on the home run race with 98, and we had a distraction from all of that,
From how crappy we were, yeah.
and how crappy we were. So it brought people in, and we have excitement again. But you're right. From 90 to 95, it was very rough. If you guys remember baseball back then, yes, it was very rough.
Dude, I distinctly remember asking my dad if they were going to make the playoffs because I was very small, and he was like, "What? Or if they'd been eliminated from the playoffs yet, or something like that?" Because I knew they were doing so good, and he said no. He said they're 16 games out or something like that. And I was like, oh, well, they still have more games than that left on the schedule. They can still do it.
Yeah, well, we only won one title in the 90s, so yeah.
All but mathematically.
One Central Division title, I should say. We were a good team, obviously, in the 80s, and then things fell apart in the 90s,
yeah. Yeah. But
the 80s were good for us.
Yeah. Hopefully they just sell the team if they don't want to spend money on it, because I just don't understand why you would own a sports franchise.
Right. Yep.
Just
come on, Bill DeWitt, get your shit together.
You really don't give a shit about it. You really just want to try and do as little as possible to it. Then just sell it, dude. Sell it to somebody that actually cares about putting a winning product out.
Sell it to the people. We'll be like Green Bay.
You know what I mean? There you go.
Besides, at some point, to realize his investment, he hasn't cashed out on it yet. It's probably getting close to time for that.
Yeah, I mean, Bill DeWitt Jr. he's obviously getting up there. I mean, I imagine that he's going to hand it over, of course, to his son, since he's obviously the president of.
That's what I think is happening. That's kind of what I think is happening. I think that's the key. That's my suspicion.
It's really Bill DeWitt III is really running things in the operation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, he's obviously the president of operations, and in essence going to take over the ownership. Let's face it, because and
either he doesn't give a shit, just doesn't get it at all, and he's trying to do things that on the face he's trying to make a facade of what it used to be, but it's not there at the core, which is why they can't do shit. So. That's my suspicion anyway. Unsupported by really any facts, just more what I've been seeing. It seems like terrible franchises from the top down, those ones that have the worst owners. It seems like that kind of shit where they just do all this dumb stuff that makes no sense.
Right.
Sorry, just
I get it.
No, you're good.
Got to vent a little bit.
Well, guys, let's transition off the Cardinals here, because obviously we can talk a lot about the failures of them at this point. But let's transition and talk a little bit about City and their failure, but not failure, and continuing for ties. So a quick update about City. They're now 2-7-1 for 13 points. They have 1 ties, and that's it. 1-0. Since last session. They are now they're still 9th in the West. They're still in 18th in MLS. The problem is we are getting further back from the top of the group. So in the West, we are now 8 points behind Real Salt Lake, which is almost a full 3 games, really. And for the lead in MLS, which is Miami, because why the fuck wouldn't it be? 11 points. Let's talk about some positives when it comes to STLSC. And the Ruiz rumors. I think that's how you. Is it Ruiz? Ruiz?
I think it's Marco Royce.
Okay.
Marco
Royce.
What is it?
Yeah, because Reus, right?
I think it's Marco Royce.
Royce, is that it?
I think it's Royce. Royce.
So
I believe. I looked it up. I looked it up, and it looked like Marco Royce.
Isn't it Reus?
Okay. Correct, but the way to pronounce it is Royce.
Royce. Okay.
So
well, I mean, hopefully I'll be able to not learn that pronunciation when Real Madrid is kicking the shit out of Dortmund. But anyways, so some stuff here.
I was gonna say I like this guy. He's a German. I like that. Yeah. So just saying.
Yeah.
I like
some quick stuff here before we get into the subject about it. So he's 34. He will be 35 later in this month. But for Dortmund, he has scored 169 goals and 138 assists in 426 games, which is pretty badass. He is very, very good friends with Roman Bürki. He has trained and played with Leuven as well before. Not, I don't think on like an official team or anything like that, but they have done like scrimmages and stuff like that from what I read. But the biggest thing about this is there's a lot of people in First City that are getting very, very, very excited about this. We are still in the preliminary talks with him. He's not even on our discovery list. For anybody that does not understand what that means. So in soccer, in the international level, if you believe that you're going to sign somebody, you have to put them on your discovery list. And there's only so many spots that are on that discovery list. I think it's like 20 or 25 people in there. Essentially, like, these are the players that we're going to bring in for interviews, and we are going to go after them. I don't know why the discovery list was put into play, but essentially it put in European soccer, it puts other teams on notice to say, hey, so like for a great example of this is Real Madrid is looking for Kylian Mbappe. That's been a very common rumor for a very long time. They're going to sign Kylian Mbappe when his contract with PSG is over. But if that was like a very big, like, or a surprise or whatever, they could put him on their discovery, and then another team would be like, oh crap, like, I'm going to go sign him. Or a perfect example of this was last time this happened, 2 years ago, when Kylian Mbappe was again rumored to go to Real Madrid. He was on his discovery, on their discovery list and everything else. However, a dark horse came into everything and kind of screwed everything up, and that was still PSG. PSG put him back on the discovery list and ended up signing him for 2 years. So that's kind of what the discovery list, I think, is for. I'm not 100%. If we had Danny, our soccer expert, he'd be able to tell us a little bit more about it. But I think this would be really badass for us to sign and have an attacking midfielder to go with Leuven, another German technician that can work with it. Now, that being said, too, I got to point this out real quick, because I saw it and I'm like, you got to be shitting me. Miami is expected to potentially get Griezmann, which is a French attacking midfielder that's won 2 World Cups with France. And Griezmann is amazing player. Like, I like Griezmann a lot. I've watched him play quite a bit of international and club soccer. But Antoine Griezmann is linked to Inter Miami, so the rich gets richer over there.
I was going to say, so they're the new Dodgers, but only of the MLS. All right, I got it.
This is the problem. This is the problem with soccer in general, is that there is no salary caps or anything else like that, right? And people always give me gruff that I'm a Real Madrid fan. Real Madrid was the only reason why I got interested in international soccer, because they had an all-star team. They had the big name players playing for them, so why the hell wouldn't I watch them play? You know what I mean? It wasn't like I was watching the Premier League and like watching Arsenal and fucking or like going into Series A and watching AC Milan. I mean, they had 1 or 2 good players, but Real Madrid has all-stars on top of all-stars, right? So it's a lot funner, a lot more fun to watch. But the MLS, the way they structure their contracts, it's supposed to negate all this stuff. But thank you very much to frickin' Messi, that has thrown everything out the window. So now we have no idea what's going to end up happening with this. But I'm not. Go on, I'm sorry.
Well, I was going to say, it's interesting, though, going back to the Riz thing, is that I can see why there might be some preliminary conversation, or at least some rumors surrounding it, because, like you said, he is close friends with Berkey. They spent 7 years together at Dortmund. So, and obviously, and I also was looking up, and it looks like his contract expires at the end of June as well.
Correct.
So but he's also been linked with clubs, it looks like, in Turkey and also in Saudi Arabia. So he has a range of options, it says here, of where he could continue his career. And while I think he is a very amazing player, he has a ton of experience, a lot of skill. I think he could definitely help boost our performance. And obviously having someone like him around would be great for our younger players as well. They could learn a lot from him. But from what I've been reading is that there are some people that are worried about his injury history and his age as well. Yes. He is 34.
Yep.
He's had his fair share of injuries. So I think we just need to be smart about how we use him if we end up landing him, and make sure that, it's a good fit. I definitely think, though, that that's something that the club needs to keep an eye on. But I think on the financial side, if they do bring him in, I think it could be a big investment, at least for us. It could pay him off. It could definitely pay off. Obviously, it's not the big signings that Miami's bringing in per se, but it is a higher profile signing, which could bring in more fans or sell more merch or, maybe attract more sponsors. Who knows? It could just help put St. Louis more, city on the map per se, at least as far as bringing more attention to MLS. But I think if we manage it right, and he could potentially be a game changer for us. But there are definitely some risks. But yeah, I think the potential rewards are huge, though, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, his last game is going to be, excuse me, in the Champions League final against Real Madrid on June 1st. But to your point, Adam, his contract is not over until the end of June. Now, he will be able to negotiate with teams during that window period because he will not be playing for Dortmund. Like, so that his their league is over at that point, I believe, or at least he has announced that he will not be playing for the club level at that point anymore. I think that, to your point, it would really help us bring our game to the next level. It'll definitely help us break through a lot of these ties. But there is the question, of course, of what is he chasing at this point in his career. When I look at the resume and try to look at some contracts that he's signed and stuff like that, he's not a guy that necessarily chases the money. He chases more loyalty, which is huge, because if Berkey can say, yo, come over here and you can finish out your career and for the next 4 years, right? Just, you can leave the game at 38, 39, and you don't, and it's not all on you either. We have a bunch of young guys here that can come in, but you can play with another German Leuven. You can come play with us here, or play with me here, and be a big part of it. And you immediately will be in conversations to be winning MLS all the time. So, yeah, I mean, you're going to have Miami. Yeah, you're going to have Columbus. You're going to have these really good teams. But regardless to the situation here, I mean, you come here and you're going to be an impactful player. If you're going to be chasing money, he's going to Saudi Arabia. That's just simple.
But I think we still have quite a bit of cap space currently, I think, right?
Well, yeah, I mean, we 100% do, and we can definitely afford him. It depends on how we structure his contract, but 110% we could sign him. But there's he's not going to Turkey. For anybody that really seriously thinks that he's going to Turkey, he'd be stupid to do it. If he's going to do that, it's the exact same level of play that's in Saudi Arabia, but Saudi Arabia has way more money backing them up. So you'd be chasing more money. You would go there. I think that truly Messi coming over, and we talked about this before on this podcast, Messi coming over the MLS was a much bigger deal for international soccer stars coming here than David Beckham coming over the MLS. Because back in the day, when David Beckham came over, MLS wasn't what it was. And now that it's much bigger, it has a much more pronounced international. You have arguably the greatest soccer player that's ever played, and Lionel Messi coming over. That's a big ass deal. You know what I mean? And I think there's a big difference between the two. As much as I was a Cristiano Ronaldo fan over Messi of who is the greatest player that's ever played. Although I think that Cristiano Ronaldo now is a freaking diva, and I really can't stand the guy anymore. But there's a big difference between the two. Messi wanted to come over and wanted to chase championships. He just didn't feel that he can continue to play. I'm sure he can continue to play in La Liga and wherever the hell else, but he wanted to come over and finish his career in America, right? Be close to his family and kind of really an AJ McCarron, having his kids on the sideline. You know what I mean? And being able to see him play and stuff like that, rather than being surrounded by a bunch of security guys up in the box. In all that aspects, because things are a little bit more safe here in that aspect, because people go freaking crazy and kill people just to see him. Right. But Cristiano Ronaldo chased the money and they went to Saudi Arabia. I mean, he never even took the MLS seriously. I think that there's a lot, and that's why Suarez is now playing for Miami. Griezmann might be going to Miami as well. It's a big deal, to have these international soccer. But even if they're old, eventually you're going to get a younger guy that's going to come over here and he's going to stay here. And all of a sudden, MLS turns into a legitimate league. You know what I mean? So who knows when that'll happen, but it can happen very, very soon. So I don't know, but OJ, what's your thoughts here on this rumor? I mean, do you think that he obviously could help the team? I would imagine that's going to be your take here, but not take away too much from you. What's your thoughts here?
Well, I'm not sure exactly if this is trustworthy, but apparently the Bild, B-I-L-D, have you ever heard of that? I think it's a German publication of some sort, but I'm not sure how reputable it is. But
yeah, never heard of it. Yeah.
I saw a post.
Tabloid. I just looked it up. Yeah, it's a German tabloid.
Okay, so maybe I should just leave that one out.
Yeah, it's a tabloid. It's basically, it's It's a tabloid, so you get there are going to be a lot of rumors there.
For what that's worth, they say that MLS is the most likely option and St. Louis is the most likely option of MLS teams. But
the build is absolutely spot on. I endorse the build.
Yeah, they're absolutely. They only speak the truth.
Only the truth and build.
Yeah. But anyway,
it'll be interesting. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a possibility. I think for sure.
I mean, with all these stars coming over, again, that's the thing about it. So be the forefront of that, because then you can go to all the younger players that will come over, or eventually, where this signing's like, oh, this was a drop in the bucket. Well, he'd be like, I was in the forefront. Like, yeah, I followed Messi, but I was the third big star to come over here and do it. You know what I mean? Like, well, in this time frame, because obviously David Beckham and a few other people like, Wayne Rooney and stuff.
Well, but look, that's why all these guys are going to Miami now, because we get to go play with Messi. So you sign some of these studs. Like Reyes is apparently a legend at Dortmund. So if that's true, I mean, that caliber of player, even at 36, that dude's still gonna be one of the top players in MLS, I would bet. I mean, he played PSG. He played against PSG in the recent UEFA Champions League match. Dude, it's not like he's done, or it's not like he's been out of the
sport. Yeah, he's not riding pine. You know what I mean? He's still playing.
High level still right now. If he just goes,
he's literally going to be playing into the finals in the Champions League against Real Madrid on June 1st. You know what I mean? He is at the highest of the high for clubs that you could possibly be. For anybody that does not understand that, that is like the World Cup for club teams.
Yeah. So he's that's what I mean. He's pretty. Yeah. He's so damn good. I'm not saying he's Lionel Messi. He's not in that tier. He's like the tier down from that, I guess. Dude's an absolute legendary stud that he would change the outlook of our team completely, in my opinion, if we were to land him.
So I think it would open up more people to be coming over here to play. He decided to go over there. Maybe we need to take St. Louis here. Yeah.
Well, remember he plays in the German league already, so he's used to the style of play we have. So you could probably just slot right in and instantly become much more lethal offensively.
I agree, 100%. A lot
of his draws into wins. We could be a powerhouse, I think, if we got this guy. So I really hope he signs here.
And the thing about it is, yes, St. Louis is a small market, but you have to look at it from an international standpoint, right? Truly, St. Louis kind of has a little bit of everything here. I mean, we are a melting pot of cultures. I mean, yeah, you have the Hill, where it has a lot of Italian history and stuff like that. Obviously, you still have a lot of Irish history and stuff like that. Dogtown. But there is a lot of different cultures. Bosnian, I was just about to say Bosnian. Yeah, there's a lot of different areas that are popular, but there's also really good German presence here too. You know what I mean? There's a point.
German presence.
There's a reason why Hofbrau got and obviously wasn't in St. Louis and it wasn't even in Missouri, but it was right across the border because they could afford the land there. You're not going to be able to go ahead.
Well, it made sense because there were a lot of Germans that settled in that area as well. I mean, Germans settled in St. Charles area through Franklin County, Warren County, all along the Missouri River, and also in southern Illinois. There were a lot of German settlers. In fact, that's one of the reasons why I'm here is because my ancestors migrated to this area from Germany. My great-grandmother.
I think that's where Whitey Herzog is from too, that area, right?
100%. Yeah.
Whitey Herzog, you
said? Yep. Yeah. So, again, I think that is a good boast. Yes, we're not going to have the Miami nightlife and stuff like that. But if you're more of a family man, and also the thing about it too is if you kind of want more of a private life but still be a star, St. Louis is the place to be, man. I mean, you look at Nolan Arenado, Albert Pujols, was the greatest player of our generation. I think that we can safely say that at this point. Yeah, some people might say Mike Trout and stuff like that, but maybe that's a different generation, whatever. Albert Pujols, I think, was the greatest player that we personally would have ever seen live, okay, in our generation, right? I firmly believe in that. But Albert Pujols was very comfortable here, and it wasn't like he was, bum rush everywhere. I saw him once at a Best Buy, and he had a hat on, and he had some people around him, but
he wasn't in LA.
crowding. Yeah, people were like just crowding everywhere to say, and people were walking up and saying, "Hey, appreciate you, blah blah blah," asking for autographs. He's signing a few autographs and stuff like that, but there wasn't a huge commotion about it. And it's just like people.
Well, we saw Lamar just sitting there amongst the people. Remember that over at a Cardinals game that was just out in the people, like not even in his suite. He was just
right after
there,
they won the fucking Stanley Cup. He is right in the open.
And we're just like, we look over and I'm like, oh my God, that's Ryan O'Reilly. And he's just chilling in our in the section next to us amongst the people. And you're not in a suite. And I'm like, he's brave. But, people were just going up there and saying, hey, thanks for being part of St. Louis, whatever.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's the biggest difference between us and bigger markets. Because like New York, all of a sudden here comes Cowboys. Everybody's trying to take a picture. LA, it's the same damn thing. Miami, same damn thing. But here we have a bunch of people that we just want to say hi to you.
Be John Hamm and you can just chill and be whatever. You can be Jenna Fisher and just pop into town and it's not that big of a deal,
Adam, I told you about the time I met Jenna Fisher when she was talking at Newark's high school. And when I was at Webster at the time, I went over and I said hi to her and stuff like that. She talked to me for like 10, 15 minutes. And I'm just like, and again, it's Jenna Fisher. So she's more of a local celebrity than she is all over. But this is still when The Office was huge, and let's be honest, she kind of, faded away a little bit because she's more focused on her family life and stuff like that. But it's like that in St. Louis. There's a reason why Wayne Gretzky, still has a house here. There's a reason why a lot of sports stars come here and settle here. You know what I mean? Because of the fact that St. Louis has a great community, people are awesome, and people don't really bug you. Hey, can I get a picture with you? And then I'm on my way. You know what I mean? Cool. That was an awesome story. But yeah.
Because, people here have self-respect, which allows you to offer respect to others. They haven't completely sold their soul to fame and glamour like in LA.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, I mean, there's a reason why these celebrities, they keep coming back in Afton. And he's just amongst the people, just coming back to town quite a bit and just, going out and doing things in St. Louis that everybody else would do. And it's just part of, coming back to town, saying, hey, everybody, and it's not that big of a deal. So it's kind of cool.
Another Missouri State alumni. Yeah.
There's a lot of them out there that people don't even realize that are from St. Louis that are, hail from here. And we're just like, hey, that's cool.
Or you're like one step away from being from here, oh yeah, I have like my cousins there or my family's from there, these random people and stuff. It's funny.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. So, well, guys, let's go ahead and move off of this. I believe that we all agree that if the Rios coming over here would be amazing. It would be awesome for City. Could potentially get them out of their tying slump and get some attacking going forward.
And we won't harass them in public. There you go.
Yeah, exactly. So please come over here, please.
That was our pitch to move to St. Louis.
Was still here, I'd buy you a beer, but
yeah. That's our pitch to you, Marco, to come live in St. Louis. You'll fit in very well. Yeah, we know you're listening. We have a great German scene here. Come here, you'll love it. We'll buy you a nice German beer.
We do have a badass Oktoberfest here locally in St. Charles, bro. The Oktoberfest is actually really good, and it's a very good German. Yeah. By the way, too. So, Adam, our fans of Uber Cool. I did not know this, but they play down there all the time, and I did not know that. So they play the German festival, but I mean it's Oktoberfest. They play that down there, so we might have to go see them.
I would love that
cool.
for sure. Yeah. Another great German band. So.
Yeah. If just a quick shout out before we move on to the next subject. Uber Cool is a German style like polka band, but they play they play what is it, Dancing Queen and stuff like that as well.
They play more,
they're phenomenal.
Yeah, it's not just traditional German music. They play like modern music, or more popular music, modern music. They play music from the 70s and 80s and 90s and stuff, and it's just kind of cool. It's completely different from what you expect, but because they're singing it in German a lot of times, and it's just kind of cool. It's not traditional really cool, polka, like you would expect at a German, like Oktoberfest, but it's kind of, they're a lot of fun. I enjoyed it every time going over and grabbing some German beer and enjoying them over there. So there you go. You got me thirsty for some good German beer now.
I know, right? I missed off Roundhouse. Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say some good pretzel. There we go. I'm down for it.
Alrighty, guys, let's go ahead and move on to the Battlehawks here. So get to the winning team. All right.
Hey.
So quick update. They are now 5-1. So we are 1-0 since last week. Since obviously they only play once a week. We are now first in the XFL division, second in the UFL division, which is behind the Birmingham. Oh my God. The Stallions, which by the way, if you guys haven't looked at it, the Stallions are 6-0, and we are now 6 games out of the 10 games. They've already clinched the fucking playoff berth because
Did they really? I'm not surprised. Yeah. Well, of course they did because they have the winning record of 6-0. So there you go.
Well, it's not only that, but like the second place team is Michigan at 4-2, and then they have 2 teams that are 1-5.
Right. So the USFL. Right. I was going to say USFL league or not league, but the division. Yeah, the other teams suck. We all knew it was going to be Birmingham, so that's the only competition. Really, it is. So.
Well, and that's going to be the real big, interesting one here. So in 2 days, we face against those Stallions. Unfortunately, we're in Alabama.
That's okay. It's a home. Yeah, I guess it's a homecoming for AJ McCarron. So there you go.
Yeah.
If it ain't
too lively down there.
Got it.
Your hometown boy. Hard for them to boo AJ McCarron down in Alabama.
Definitely not. Like, are you kidding me? There's probably gonna be more people cheering for him.
That's what I'm saying. For real. Like they're gonna be like, hell yeah,
it's a pseudo home game.
It really is in a way, yeah.
Birmingham. I mean, I know they don't got pro sports in Birmingham, but I assume most of them pay attention to, the Crimson Tide.
Alabama,
obviously. Football, if you're from Birmingham,
they're not in Tuscaloosa, obviously, but like again, this is a big.
I say they're Bama. They're Bama all the way in Birmingham, no doubt.
They even care about this game, is what I wonder.
Absolutely, they do. So.
Well, that's good. Got to crush it.
Because I mean Tuscaloosa. I mean Birmingham's not very far from Tuscaloosa at all. So there you go.
I think it's like an hour, right? Hour away?
I don't even think it's that far.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I'm going to look it up here real quick just to see how far it is. It is an hour. You're right. It's 57 miles. So it's an hour.
Okay.
Yeah. 56
That's
minutes.
What I thought it was.
I think you'll get there in about 45. So there you go.
I do a cool 45.
Cool 45. I'll get you to Tuscaloosa. So it's a home game for AJ.
For sure, dude. Like they're gonna be, because they're gonna be Razorbacks fans mostly. But unless they're actually fans of the Birmingham Stallions, like,
right?
Yeah.
I'm not sure how many of those people there are.
But they've already won they already clinched. They really want to see AJ win one on at home per se. You know what I mean?
It's a wishful thing, for themselves.
We'll give one up for the homeboy,
Man, we're lucky that he didn't wind up on Birmingham because that would make too much sense.
No doubt. Yeah.
Yeah, you weren't lying there.
No doubt.
It would have been like, fuck, well, we're screwed.
Yeah. They would have been totally screwed. But anyway. Well, it'll be a very interesting game. I'm looking forward to it. So.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so OJ, I want to get your opinion on it because I'll go to you, Adam, too. How do you feel we're going to stack up to the Stallions, and what do you think the final score is going to be?
So I think that we're going to win because I'm not sure how much competition the Stallions have faced thus far. I think the Battlehawks are the best team in the league, so I think the Battlehawks are going to win. As long as nobody gets, all things equal, I think Battlehawks win, and I'll let them be a little closer. We'll call it like 34-24. How about that?
There you go. Wow, boom.
34-24.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah, a 10-point victory. I like that.
Man,
that's right up our alley too, where we have to make things close every single fucking week. It feels like, good lord.
Yeah. I mean, didn't we win like the last 2 games by like 20 something? Like, I mean, wasn't
not last game
22 to?
No, that was a very tough win, I guess you want to call it that. We should have.
It was we should have demolished them, but we
should
kept
have
them around way longer than we could have.
we kicked a lot of field goals, and the format allows you to make up ground quickly, especially on teams not
I mean,
scoring touchdowns.
It was a lot closer than it should have been. Let's just say that.
Yeah, exactly. Like 3 field goals. 3 field goals is 1 touchdown with a 3-point conversion on the other end. You know what I mean? So like, it's cool we're getting points, but like, okay, you got to get the ball in the fucking end zone. You know?
Yeah.
So yeah.
I mean,
it was 8-22. We only lost. We only won it by 14. Go on, Adam.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I'm looking at the matchup here. So I'm looking overall between the two. McCarron by far is the better quarterback, I would say, versus Martinez.
No, Martinez right now, by the way, is in a lead for the MVP vote, apparently behind.
Really?
Or AJ McCarron's behind him. And it has to do with the fact that Martinez runs the ball. And it's just like,
that's the only reason why.
Shitty defenses.
That's the only reason why. Because honestly, AJ has passed him by like almost 400 yards, I think.
Yeah.
Or somewhere there. I don't know. Somewhere I believe. He by far is the better quarterback because so he's so he's a Lamar Jackson is what you're telling me? Okay, whatever.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, that's the thing. So McCarron, I like him because he's mobile enough, and like I know that's a theme in the modern NFL too. Is that you got to have a somewhat mobile quarterback, or it's highly desirable to help the offense line out because it's pretty tough to stop some of these guys. So
take Mahomes. Patrick Mahomes is that way. He is the prototypical. He is like, if you are teaching a kid on how to play quarterback, that's the guy you're watching. And it's not just because he's amazing and obviously, now won 3 Super Bowls. Even if you stripped all that away from him, the way he plays the game is phenomenal because he wants to put the ball into the action, into his playmaker's hands. However, when he sees no other option, he'll run, and he's sneakily fast. He's not like super fast. He ain't going to blow you away by any stretch of the mean, but he picks his moments so well, and he does it in pristine moments. He did it last year in the Super Bowl, and he did in the year before against the Eagles as well, in that big-ass run on a broken ankle. Not really broken ankle, but you know what I mean? You know what? I'm gonna stop talking about broken ankles when it comes to Patrick Mahomes. Okay, please, God, no. Right. But he does it in pristine moments, and that's the one thing I think he has over Tom Brady. When you look at the comparison, Tom Brady never ran it. And even if he didn't even know how to run. You know what I mean? So, like, I think that Patrick Mahomes is the prototypical. And to me, there's a little bit of that where AJ McCarron this year so far, like when he gets really frustrated, he almost plays better because he then starts running the ball. And Adam, like as you saw in the 3rd and 4th quarter of this past game since we were there, he started running the ball, didn't see his first and second read. He goes, screw it. I'm just going to put my shoulder down. He's a bigger guy. You know what I mean? He's not going to run over a linebacker, but he could challenge a defensive back, and he's competitive. That's my thing. I love watching dudes that are competitive. And like, it's UFL, and he's played much bigger games and stuff like that, but he's here for a reason, wants to be here for a reason. He's going to go put it on. Exactly right.
So also looking at other leaders in this as well. Obviously, like you said, Birmingham is more of a rushing team. But overall, though, rushing yard wise, Martinez versus Sailors, it's about 80-yard difference between our leaders. Looking at obviously from a receiving yards percentage or perspective, I should say, Hakeem Butler, hats off to that guy, MVP. That guy is incredible. Obviously, he's been a great addition for us. And I'm so glad that he's, one of our receivers as well. I think he's going to be a pivotal player in this game for sure. AJ connecting with Hakeem, no doubt. Looking at the touchdown, between the two, did you realize Martinez versus McCarron? Martinez only has 8 touchdowns total completions versus McCarron's 14. So just saying, overall, and also Willie Harvey, who, of course, if you're not familiar with, is one of our linebackers, actually is leading their linebacker as far as number of tackles as well. So he has 39 to Zeno with 36. And overall, I think we have a very good chance. And also our kicker, too, has a higher amount of points as well. So I think in all areas so far offensively, we look very good offensively stacked.
Yeah, I think the game's gonna Yeah, go on. That's where I was about to get to.
I
Yeah.
was going to say the game's going to be decided by our defense ultimately.
Mm-hmm.
That's the only thing that I'm worried about is
which offense is going to show up and can our defense hold? That's exactly what.
Right.
Yeah.
That's that's why I wanted to kind of paint this picture is that stacked on paper, offense, we have the upper hand, but the defense is, can we hold them? That's why I wanted to paint that picture here, because I think that's why it's going to be a closer game. Do I think that the Battlehawks can do it? Absolutely. But I think it's going to be a very close game, and it might be down to a field goal. So every opportunity we get, we have to go for
it. Yeah, I agree with you. And I think it's going to be a close game, but I believe that the Battlehawks pull it off. I'm going to say about like 5 points. I don't know exact scores because it's hard to judge in UFL, but
it is.
Yeah,
with this whole like 1 extra points, and it depends on where you're at in the game and how things are. There's a lot of dynamics that go into that. It is a little trickier to predict scores here. Yeah. And there's also, of course, the fourth and 15 or whatever rule or whatever at the end.
Yeah, 4th and 12.
4th and 12. I'm sorry, I said 4th and 15. 4th and 12 rule.
It was last year, so it's 4th and 12 this year.
Okay, got it. So I wasn't crazy in thinking it was 4th and 15. So they just bumped it up by 3 yards. So, but anyway, that rule as well is a little bit of a different element as well. So it is a little bit different to predict versus the NFL, but it'll still be close. But the Battlehawks will prevail in Birmingham, and we will go on to give them their first loss, and we will have a tie record.
Yep. Alabama's going to have to get used to teams from Missouri beating them.
Yes. And I think this will definitely be the preview for June the 16th at the at the Battle Dome for the championship. Yep, at the Battle Dome in St. Louis for the championship game. So this is the preview. Get ready.
I agree.
Yeah. Hell yeah. And then you got Missouri going down. Well, I think I think Missouri's at Bama too. So,
yes, because I don't remember.
They are October 26th. They will be at Bama. Yep. I just checked it.
So we're gonna go 2-0 in this calendar year, and for Missouri teams in Bama. I like it.
Yep.
I like it.
It was Tennessee last year. This year it's Bama.
Yep.
Yes, sir. Like it.
Go.
Like it.
MIZ.
DOU.
All right, guys. Let's head here to the side off. Adam, would you like to tell the listeners and how they could follow up with our cacaws on our socials?
I was going to say, if you would love to give our lovely Battlehawks a shout out or a cacaw, or you'd love to especially shout out us, we would love to hear from you on our social media platform known as Facebook. Check us out at facebook.com/the hometown losers. Be sure and spell that LOUSERS. As well as check us out on x.com/hometown losers. Retweet, re-like, re-share, and definitely comment, because we love to hear from you.
Absolutely. OJ, what do you have for the game of the week?
We got 2 big ones coming up. It's on Saturday, 5/11. You got your Battlehawks at Birmingham, as we just discussed, 3 p.m. Mm-hmm. But then at 7:30, so plenty of time for that game to get over with, you have St. Louis City playing Chicago, hosting Chicago Fire. So I believe they're calling it rivalry weekend, which it's kind of hard to have a rival in a different conference, in my opinion. But
I guess because it's Chicago, so technically,
Chicago.
Hey, what's the motto of the hometown losers? Fuck Chicago.
It's punch a Chicago fan day, I guess.
Yeah.
Blackout Day.
See someone wearing a coat hat, just go ahead and punch him right in the back of the head.
There you go.
Or the random dude that's wearing a Blackhawk jersey at every single sporting event,
what the hell is that about?
Game. Are you fucking kidding me?
What is wrong with people? Saying
life. It's It's a real life troll.
It is
just
so
want to
like,
I don't understand people.
they just want
especially-
somebody to come talk to them, even if it's hate, because they're still in their mother's basement. You know what I mean? Playing NHL 12 on their Xbox 360.
You're right. They're desperate for attention. I agree.
Yeah.
All right. Well, with that in mind, once again, listeners, it's that favorite time of the episode where we're going to dive into the numbers once again and let Josh tell us all about the stories behind the game. So without further ado, let's send it right over to Josh for this week's
Stat Blast.
I appreciate it, guys. So I got two of them here that are related to baseball. One is crazy, and one is just really hard to even imagine. The hard to imagine one, I'm going to start with that one here. Do you guys know how many no-nos have been in MLB? So how many no-hitters have been thrown in MLB history?
Oh, God. And
I know it's a lot more than you think. Yeah, in a whole.
As a whole, since like the 1800s or whatever. I don't know.
Yeah, so
like,
it's 323, which is a lot more than I thought, to be quite frank.
I was going to go like
there's been
250-ish, I was going to guess.
See, that's what my guess was too. It was like 220 is what I kind of had to when I was looking at it. But it's 323. Out of those 323, 36 pitchers have pitched multiple no-hitters. So 36 pitchers have pitched no-hitters. Oh, it gets even crazier than this. There is one guy that stands out above them all. Johnny Vandermeer pitched 2 consecutive no-hitters in 1938. He pitched on June 11th, 1938. He had a no-no against the Boston Bees. And then 4 days later, on June 15th, against the Brooklyn Dodgers, pitched a no-no as well.
Nice.
Wow.
It's just even unthinkable. You know what I mean? Like to be able to pitch 18 no-hitter innings.
The odds
I can't even
that,
do that when I have all the stats all the way down against the batters on MLB The Show.
I mean, that is the most unbreakable record I think that could ever occur, because let's face it, that doesn't happen ever.
Oh.
Yeah. If you were a fan of that team when he did that, you'd be like, this guy's the greatest pitcher of all time. Like,
So let me get this straight. So he pitched. So maybe I misunderstood. So he threw 2 consecutive no-hitters, but he didn't pitch like back-to-back games. So he had a rest, and then he pitched in the next game. But still,
two consecutive starts.
Right? Okay, because I was be like, this dude is beyond a beast at that point. Like this dude's like beyond a god. He is the god among gods.
Yep.
Yeah. That's insane.
Track.
Have there actually? I wonder if there's been any pitchers that have pitched multiple perfect games.
No, there's not. I've already looked at that.
Okay, so they've only been able to pitch one perfect game, and then that's it. Never again.
There's been a couple instances where a perfect game and then a no-no. But it is mostly, like if you pitch multiples out of those 36, it's been 2 no-hitters.
Gotcha.
It's much easier to do because obviously, like, there's been a couple no-hitters in baseball. There's 3 of them because I looked this up. 3 no-hitters that were losses on the pitchers because of errors. Yeah.
You're kidding.
They walked people, and then there was errors, and it cost them the game. I pitched a no-hitter in grade school and lost the fucking game 4-1.
You could walk the bases. You could walk.
I mean, I guess you could technically. Yeah, you could.
Theoretically, that's true. Like literally,
that's
right. You can walk it. You can literally get into major leagues and like just say that you're signed for 1 year and they're keeping you for 1 year and you're a starting pitcher and you walk 10 guys consecutively every single game. You lose that game 6-0, but your entire career is 0-0 on your ERA because you never gave up a hit.
That's funny.
Yeah. They're unearned runs. It's a kind of a weird statistic, but it's true. They can do that.
Crazy.
If it's anyway, but yeah, people make a big deal about that guy that pitched no-hitter on acid, which it is a feat. But if you look at the box score, I'm pretty sure I remember seeing he walked a lot of people.
Yeah.
It
was a no-hitter, but he was definitely wild too.
But he was also not he wasn't in the strike zone either. So he was all over the place. I mean, I guess I could technically throw a no-hitter in that sense that But the
That's what
problem
I'm
is the game would never end, and it would be the most highest scoring game.
You get pulled after the first. Yeah.
That's the problem. I would still be out there on the pitcher's mound. I wouldn't even be making it to the pitch. I wouldn't even be making it to the batter's box. But he wouldn't be able to hit it.
Well, I mean, you could walk in a run every inning or something, something crazy, terrible, and it would still be a no-hitter. So
it would be 5 billion to nothing, and I'd be like, I'm still a no-hitter.
I want to see the Cardinals, because the Cardinals don't even have a game ever. Like, a team that's existed since the 1800s has never had a pitcher throw a perfect game for them. Like, that's
you have the Yankees that have, I think, 7.
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, they got all their wins in when players were basically slaves. So
indentured servants?
Yes. Indentured servants?
We're gonna treat everybody the same. Like indentured servants? Yes.
Yeah.
Basketball. God, I love that movie. Okay, anyways. Speaking of acid, I think my edible started to kick and got. I'm just kidding.
Oh boy.
Yeah. Anyways, last one here. So first and foremost, this one is about Babe Ruth. Do you guys know where Babe Ruth finished his career? Was it with the Yankees or was it with a different team?
No. I'm trying to think where he went, but it wasn't the Yankees. I knew this. I'm trying to think.
Honestly,
damn it. I'm trying to remember.
Atlanta Braves.
That's it.
Yep. Well, it wasn't even the Atlanta Braves.
Because he wasn't a pitcher for them either. I think wasn't he playing in the outfield or something?
Yeah,
no?
and he came on.
Oh, he was.
No,
wasn't
he was playing in the outfield. He was playing right field. He came in very late into the season, so he wasn't in any of the, and they didn't make any playoffs or anything like that. He played 28 games, had 72 at bats, had 13 hits, which 6 of them were home runs. He also had 24 strikeouts and 20 walks in that time. But that's not even what I was going to bring up here. This is just a crazy statistic, right? So in 1920, Babe Ruth hit 54 home runs. Okay, not the record, but that's still pretty impressive, hitting 54 home runs. When you took a look at the teams, so like the team's home run statistic, Babe Ruth by himself hit more than all the AL teams. There was only one team in that year in 1920 that hit more home runs than Babe Ruth did. As a team, yes, as a team, and that was the Phillies in the National League. They hit 64. That's just how fucking crazy he was back then.
I want to go back to those days. Home runs are bad for the sport. That's just my opinion. Too many.
Honestly, yeah, I agree. I really wish that there was a way that we could bring it back to those type of days. Like, you still have your Major League Baseball, then we call it like old time baseball or whatever, where they're like, you know what I mean? Like they're hitting it with like, I don't even know how would you go back to those days? But you know what I mean? Like it would be cool to see those type of games again.
Yeah, but you have to push the fences out. They'll never do it. That's why it's never going to happen.
Yeah.
You have to actually make it hard to hit home runs again. And then
that's a good point too. Yeah.
They want it to be high scoring, a lot of high offense.
Yeah. The only way to truly combat 3 true outcomes, in my opinion, is to make it just really hard to achieve, really hard to hit with enough power to make it worthwhile. You see what I'm saying?
See, and I think that to me, that would be way more, it'd be more exciting because it honestly would be kind of a blend of softball and baseball in that sense. So say like instead of dead center is 400 feet, it's 600 feet, right? So a home run can happen, but it's going to be really difficult and you're not hitting at the dead away center field. But your outfielders are going to have to like play there's a lot more green grass that they're going to have to run around. I would be okay with them bringing in a fourth or even like another outfielder that plays shallow or whatever. You know what I mean? I don't want to, again, make it too easy, but maybe you have one rover guy.
Yeah, you keep 3 outfielders out there because that way it emphasizes athleticism. You're not going to be able to stick Kyle Schwarber in left field because he can't play there.
That's a very good idea. That's a very good idea. Yeah.
That's why
you're not going to take your worst, fielder and stick him in right field. That's a very good idea. And there's a lot more running, and there's a lot more running on base paths too. You know what I mean?
Exactly. That's what I'm saying.
I think it'd be I think it'd be really exciting.
And triples, and people would love that way more. I bet you. That's my vision.
Like if you get a guy with decent enough speed that hits it into the gap, you're like, oh, if they don't cut it off in time, this could be an inside the park home run, and that's way more exciting than watching the guy hit one out of the park. So,
I built that kind of park in the show that I use it for my creative team and shit. So that's pretty fun. Yeah, it is that way. If you could hit one, just lace a line drive to the gap. If it gets by the outfielders, like you're like, oh yeah, this is at least a triple.
Yeah, right.
It's pretty.
All right, guys. Well, as always, it's a lot of fun talking to you guys and listeners. Please reach out to those socials that Adam mentioned, and so you can reach out if you have any questions or want to see any specific content on the show. Please let us know. We love interacting with the listeners. And please watch the Battlehawks as they take on the Stallions and call, and obviously support all St. Louis teams. But I really want the Battlehawks because they're the only team that's doing anything right now. So it's like you just kind of put all your eggs in the basket behind the Battlehawks. So anyways, guys, I appreciate you too. We will see you next week here on the Hometown Losers podcast. Have a great night, everybody.
This is OJ, and I wanted to thank you guys for listening to the equivalent of 3 dudes sitting at a bar talking about sports. We'll catch you next week on the Hometown Losers.